Today, I'm having the neighbors over for a really casual supper on the patio, and it's Mexican themed. So I'm making a big batch of margaritas, making homemade tortillas, and we're gonna have skirt steak fajitas with peppers and onions and guacamole. It's easy, it's delicious, even the kids love it. They're even bringing their dog Dallas, who is Ziggy's good friend, so everyone's gonna have a good time. We're gonna start by making flour tortillas, which if you've never made them, they're incredibly easy. You don't even need any appliances. You just use your hands and they taste so much better than the ones you find at the store. You just need some all-purpose flour. This is 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. We're gonna add some salt, 1.5 teaspoons of table salt. Just gonna whisk it together. And now for the fun part, because you make the dough with your hands. I'm gonna take my rings off so they don't get too grimy, because we're gonna rub the shortening into the flour mixture. This is 6 tablespoons of shortening cut into 6 pieces, and it's room temperature. You're just gonna add it to the flour, and then using your hands, we're just gonna rub the shortening and press it into the flour until this mixture kind of looks craggy like cornmeal. I mean, this is kind of the old school way of making pie dough. You used to rub the fat into the flour, and it works pretty well, especially if it's just shortening like in this recipe, because it doesn't melt with the heat of your hands. You can see the texture of the flour just looks a little rough, looks a little like cornmeal. To this, we're gonna add some warm water. This is 7 ounces of warm water. I'm just gonna use a wooden spoon to bring the dough together. All right, you can see the dough is starting to come together. There's a little bit of flour in the bottom of the bowl. That's fine. We're gonna dump it out onto the work surface here. And as you knead it, you're just gonna start to pick up all those floury bits off the board until you have a nice cohesive dough. It takes less than a minute. This is the fun part. I could do this forever, actually. This is very soothing, but we're all done. You can see that's a nice dough. We're gonna cut it into 12 pieces. We're making 12 tortillas. If you wanted to be precise, you could measure the weight of every tortilla. It'd be about 2 ounces, but I'm just gonna eye it. The cool thing is we're gonna roll these all into balls. When you roll them into balls, you really get a sense of what's big and what's small. Oh no, they feel good. So we're gonna roll each of these into balls. I know, I'm cool, I'm doing 2 at once. All right, spread these out. Again, they're not gonna rise, so you don't have to worry about putting too much space between them. All right, that makes 12. Okay, so as I said earlier, there's no leavener here, so these don't need to rise, but we do need to let them rest to let that gluten relax before you roll them out into tortillas. At least 30 minutes, but you can do this up to 3 days ahead. Cover with plastic wrap. Into the fridge these go, and I'm gonna grab the skirt steak. Here is the star of the show, the skirt steak, which for me is a special cut because you can't always find it, but when they have it at the butcher shop, I always buy it, and fajitas is the best use of it. Ooh, look at this beautiful skirt steak. You want about 2 pounds to serve 4 to 6 people. Oh yeah, all right. And you can see it has a very definite grain. We're gonna slice across the grain to make sure it's nice and tender. And you can see it's nice and flat, it cooks really quickly. And what we wanna do is cut it into smaller pieces that are easier to maneuver on the grill and easier to slice into bite-sized pieces for fajitas. So I'm gonna cut this whole thing into about 6 pieces. That's perfect. Now you can trim a lot of this fat away if you want to. I like it, I think it renders on the grill, and I like the flavor it adds. Into a bag it goes because we're gonna marinate it. And I think marinating in a Ziploc bag just makes everything easy. So flank steak goes right in the bag. Quick wash of the hands. Now, for the marinade, it is incredibly easy, and it features pineapple juice, which has some good acidity, some sugar that browns nicely, and a lovely flavor. And just 1 little can is the perfect amount. You want 3/4 of a cup or 1 little 6-ounce can. We're gonna add 1/2 cup of vegetable oil and some soy sauce. Now the soy sauce plays a really important role, not only for the flavor and for the color, but it's the sodium, the salt in the soy sauce that does a number of great things for the steak. Besides seasoning, it actually helps the meat hold on to moisture as it cooks. So crucial ingredient, just 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And last, some garlic. Here I have 3 cloves. I'm just gonna use a garlic press and press it right into the marinade. We're gonna whisk this together. Now most of this marinade is gonna go in with the steak. Now I'm gonna reserve a 1/4 cup of it that we're gonna use for serving to just help brighten up those flavors just before we eat. So that's a 1/4 cup set aside, the rest of the marinade right into the bag. All right, now we're just gonna seal up the bag. Try to get any air out. And just kind of massage the meat with the marinade. And you wanna let this meat marinate for at least 2 hours, but you could do it up to a day ahead. And of course, the longer you marinate the meat, the more flavor it has. Love what you're watching? Take your cooking to the next level with our Essential membership. Get instant access to thousands of recipes, tips, techniques, product reviews, and step-by-step videos. Our Members app allows you to search by ingredient, set dietary preferences, and save your favorite recipes. For those looking to level up, our newest feature, ATK Classes, offers more in-depth instruction led by ATK experts, so you can gain greater confidence in the kitchen. Start your free trial by visiting the App Store or going to americastestkitchen.com/YouTube today. The dough is rested and I've been rolling out tortillas. What you want to do is take a ball of dough. I like starting it out and pressing it into a disc just to get it started. I have a nicely floured board here. I'm gonna put a little flour on both sides of the tortilla. And it's just as easy as rolling the dough out with a rolling pin. You wanna make sure you keep the rolling pin good and floured so that it doesn't stick to the dough. You're just gonna roll it out into a 6-inch circle, barely any work at all. And then you can so Ziggy says. And I'm keeping the tortillas separated by pieces of parchment paper. Sprinkle with a little flour, and then we're gonna cook them on the grill right before we make the steaks. All right, so here's the last piece of dough. Ziggy heard last piece of dough. All right, that's the last one. Cover with a nice piece of parchment, that way they don't dry out. Gonna set this aside. Okay, so first up for the guacamole, you want a little bit of white onion. It's only about 2 tablespoons. So I'm just gonna cut off a little piece of the onion. I'm gonna take the skin off and we're gonna mince it up. So I just cut nice thin strips in one direction. Now I'm mincing it in the other direction. And you want the pieces pretty small because it's going into guacamole. You don't want a big piece of onion in your mouth. All right, into the guacamole mixing bowl it goes. Next up, we're gonna have a little bit of jalapeno. I'm gonna cut off the tip and the tail, and I'm gonna cut it in half, cut out the ribs and the seeds, because there's kids coming, and I don't want things to be too spicy. And it's the seeds and the ribs that have most of the heat. Now to mince a jalapeno, pretty similar to mincing the onion. I'm gonna make nice long strips, and then cut it in the other direction to a nice mince. Make sure the pieces are nice and fine. And into the bowl it goes. Next up, some cilantro. So I'm gonna trim off the stems. We need about a 1/4 cup for the guacamole and just a tablespoon or so for the fajitas. And this looks like a bit more, but that's okay, because cilantro is my absolute favorite herb. Just running my knife through it. Obviously, I washed this already. All right, that looks pretty good. So here I'm gonna set a little bit of this aside for later when we're grilling for the vegetables. And the rest of it's gonna go right into the bowl with the guacamole. Next up, I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic. I know, much like Ziggy said just now, it's a little controversial. Some people think garlic does not belong in guacamole. Well, my house, my rules. I like garlic in my guacamole, so I'm gonna add it. But if you're a traditionalist and you don't want it, you can leave it out. All right, now for the star of the show, the avocados. And oh, they're perfect. You can see me pressing how soft it is. That is just right. Now I cut it in half around the equator, and to get rid of the pit, shove the heel of my knife into the pit. And then to knock it off the knife, I just use another tool to knock it off. So for the first avocado, I'm gonna scoop it right into this bowl. Get in there. Just gonna mash this completely in with the cilantro and the onions. There's nothing better than fresh guacamole. All right, now I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. And this is another optional ingredient, but I'm opting in. It's a little bit of ground cumin. It just adds a real nice warm note to the background. All right, we'll mix this in. For the remaining 2 avocados, I'm gonna take the pit out just like I did that first one. I feel like you win the lottery when you get a good avocado that's just perfectly ripe and you're making guacamole. Now I'm gonna scoop this avocado right into the bowl, just like I did. But I'm gonna be a lot more gentle with these. Leave it some bigger pieces, because I like it a little on the chunky side. Just with my fork, just gently going in there. That's about it. Now I'm gonna move to a spatula, so you get some nice big pieces. And then you have the mashed one holding it all together. That is perfect. All right, last but not least, we're gonna sprinkle a little lime juice on it. I usually overdo it with the lime because I like a limey guacamole. And you want a couple tablespoons. That looks pretty good. All right, just a little taste to see if we need any more salt. Oh, it's so good. It does need some salt. Oh, the lime. Ooh, a little jalapeno. Into a serving bowl this goes. I've tried a lot of things over the years to prevent the guacamole from browning before you serve it. The one thing I've read all the time, and I've tried it, it doesn't work, is you put the pits from the avocados right in the guacamole. It doesn't do anything. The thing that really does work is just taking a piece of plastic wrap and covering the surface of the guacamole, and you really want to press it flush. That just prevents air from hitting the avocados and prevents them from browning. We're just gonna keep this chilled in the refrigerator while we finish prepping the vegetables for the fajitas. Now to prep the vegetables for the fajitas, which is just bell peppers and a red onion, we're gonna cut the red onion into nice round slices. That way it's easy to maneuver them on the grill. And to do that, you wanna cut off the tip of the onion, and then about 1/2 inch thick, you wanna make slices of red onion, keeping them in circles. So take your time. There we go. Now is when you peel it and you leave the rings intact. You can take out the paper and any sort of outer layer that's a little on the mushy side. And to help them stay intact during grilling, we're gonna use toothpicks. So what you do is you take the toothpick, you just insert it through the side of the onion, just like a little onion lollipop. It makes it easy to flip over and the rings stay intact. We're gonna do this to all the onions. All right, we'll put them on a little board. And for the bell peppers, I chose 3 different colors of bell peppers just because it looks pretty, but any one color would be fine. Now to prep the peppers, I'm just gonna cut the core out with a little paring knife. Just gonna cut around the stem end here and just pull it right out. You get a lot of the seeds out that way. And then I'm gonna go on the inside and just pull any of the white ribs out and any other seeds. We're just gonna leave it whole. Put it right on the grill and then cut it for fajitas after it's grilled. There's the green. Obviously, I washed these peppers already. Shake out any seeds. There we go. Last one, the red one. It's like confetti. Okay, so that's it for the vegetables for the fajitas. I'm gonna drizzle them with a little bit of vegetable oil. Brush it all over. You get some, both sides of the onions. And last, we're gonna season them with a little bit of salt and pepper. A little on the inside. Make sure you get both sides of the onion. And some pepper. And that's all the prep we need to do before we can start grilling. And what I'm gonna do is put everything on this cutting board, which people have asked me a lot about this board because it's the only board I use. You've probably seen that. And anytime you walk into my house, you'll find it sitting right here. We use it for everything. Now, the company that makes this board is called Teak House because the board's made of teak. It is very durable, and it's the winning cutting board at America's Test Kitchen. They make a ton of different products, including a cool new cart that you can keep out by the grill that the board just drops into, so that you can prep and cook and serve all on the same surface, which is perfect for a party on the patio. So all I have to do now is get that steak out of the marinade and we can head outside.
Love our in-depth reviews? Get the latest from our reviews team delivered straight to your inbox. Our well-equipped cook newsletter provides top product picks, no-nonsense buying guides, and must-try recipes. No extra fluff, just the smartest ways to shop, save, and cook. Sign up for free now at americastestkitchen.com/newsletter.
Well, I lucked out with the weather because it is a beautiful afternoon, perfect for summer on the patio with the neighbors. The food is prepped, the grill is hot and clean, and this is my new grill cart. It's called the Rover Block by Teak House. You saw I could just drop the cutting board right in so I can prep, but also serve on it. And it has this handy shelf on the bottom for holding all the things I might need while I'm grilling, like paper towels, platters for the finished food. And we're gonna start grilling with the tortillas. Now, the heat level on the grill for the tortillas totally depends on your grill. You probably want a medium to medium high. They cook in about 2 minutes. And we're gonna cook about 4 tortillas at a time. If you get really good, you can do 6 at a time, but I think 4 is a nice number to manage. And so what I'm gonna do is take a tortilla, you just put it on the grill. So it's about a minute aside. You'll see they'll start to bubble and you'll see them start to puff. The bubbling and puffing and grill marks on the bottom, that's when you know it's time to flip them. So let's take a look at this first one. Oh, you see it's turned white, has nice grill marks, it has all those bubbles. That's the sign of a perfect tortilla. Time to flip that guy. You can see this bubble right here. That's a good sign. Now, different parts of your grill will be hotter or cooler, so really just work with what you got, flip them when they're ready. You can see it's nice and solid on the second time with good grill marks. That's a perfect tortilla. Yep, and you can see it's still flexible. You don't want them rock hard. That's overcooked. Perfect. Perfect. All right, onto a nice towel. We'll cover them to keep them warm and flexible till serving time. And cook 4 more. Now, it's worth noting that this grill was really clean and super well oiled. But if your grill's a little on the dirty side, don't hesitate to re-oil the grill grates between batches of tortillas so they don't stick. All right, that's it for the tortillas. Just gonna wrap them up in a towel, make sure they stay nice and warm and flexible. And that's the tortillas done. Next up, we're gonna cook the vegetables. So we're just gonna put the peppers whole right on the grill. All right, so putting the lid down to trap the heat to help cook those vegetables through. Takes about 8 minutes or so. I'm gonna keep flipping them over so they get evenly cooked on all sides. You want them to be nice and charged and cooked through, but you don't want them to lose their color or get mushy. So keep an eye on them. All right, those vegetables need a few more minutes. Meanwhile, Ian is setting up the drink station complete with a big batch of homemade margaritas, and I think I should taste test them before I serve them to the guests. Oh yeah, that is a great margarita. Now the trick is you make a simple syrup with sugar and a little bit of salt. And then when it's warm, you add lemon and lime zest and you let it steep. Then you strain it into a pitcher. You add a whole bunch of fresh lemon and lime juice, a bottle of tequila, and a little bit of orange liqueur. So good. Grilling is always so much nicer when you have a good drink in your hand. Oh, and the vegetables are perfectly done. Look at that. All right, you can see still a nice bright color. They're starting to soften, some good chaw marks. Chaw marks, that's how you know I live in Boston. So I'm gonna take the veg off and I'm gonna put them in this 9x13 foil pan. Here are the onions. Now there's a trick, a reason why I'm putting the vegetables in this pan. We're gonna cover the pan with foil. And I'm gonna keep them warm on the grill while we cook the steak because these 2 burners are on high. That's for cooking the vegetables and the meat. The one over here you can have off or on low, and that's just a warming station. So on the grill it goes to stay warm. All right, so we're gonna close the grill lid, let it heat up so it's super hot. That way you get a really good char on this very thin cut of meat. So when we come back, we can cook the steak. Grill's been heating up for a good 5 minutes. Oh, she's hot. All right, I'm gonna give it a quick oil before we add the steaks. And this is just paper towels with a little bit of vegetable oil. Sometimes when your grill's good and hot, it'll light the grates on fire. That's okay, it'll burn out. That's how you know you have a nice hot grill, which is crucial for cooking skirt steak. So here we go, skirt steak right on the grill. There we go. And it cooks through so quickly, I don't even bother taking its temperature to know when it's done. If it's been on the grill for 2 to 3 minutes and it's got a nice char on both sides, you're good to go. So it's been a few minutes on the grill, and this piece in particular is very thin, so I know it's done. I'm gonna put it on a plate and let it rest a little bit. You know, these all look great. You can see the steak has a nice char. You usually get a good char on one side, and the other side you're just cooking it through. It's perfect. All right, there you are, all ready to come right off the grill. And can turn the grill off at this point because we're done cooking. Now, as with most steak, you want to let it rest for 5-10 minutes so that the juices can get reabsorbed by the meat fibers so that when you slice into it, it doesn't leak all over. So under a piece of foil, we'll set this aside for now, and we can start to cut those peppers and onions. Oh, you can see that steam? That's a good sign. Oh, you can see they still have their bright color, but they're softened and cooked through and have some nice char marks. That is a perfectly cooked pepper. Here are the onions. All right, so these peppers are pretty hot. So using tongs and a nice sharp knife, I'm just gonna prep it right here on the board, cutting them into nice strips that'll work in a fajita. Oh, beautiful yellow pepper, green pepper. All right, I'm gonna toss it all into a nice big bowl. So pretty, all those colors. Now that the peppers are done, I'm gonna take the toothpicks out of the onion and separate all the layers. These are perfect, a little charred, softened all the way through, but they're gonna have a little bit of a crunch at the very center. That's exactly how I like them. And here's that reserved 1/4 cup of marinade from when I was marinating the steaks. And this is what's gonna flavor the vegetables, along with just a tablespoon of chopped fresh cilantro, giving the vegetables just a little kick of flavor. Right, we're gonna set this aside, and now it's time to slice the steak. It's been resting for a few minutes. Oh, and my friend's here, yes. Steak time, Ziggy. Now, when you're slicing skirt steak, you want to make sure you slice it against the grain. That way it won't be tough and chewy in the fajitas. Oh, this is perfect, super juicy. Just a tinge of pink in the middle. Ziggy's starting to drool. I'm drooling right alongside you, Ziggs. Oh no. Oh, that is beautiful. So, meat there. I'm gonna put the vegetables right next to the meat. Sometimes the drippings in the bottom of the vegetable bowl, I like to pour it back over the vegetables, but also over the meat. The last thing the fajitas need is the homemade guacamole, oh yeah, and some fresh limes and a little Mexican crema, because a little drizzle of Mexican crema on the top of the fajita is so good. A few lime wedges, and that's it. I mean, it's beautiful and such a simple dinner, and elegant enough to have your neighbors over. Before they come, I should have a little taste test, I must say. So here we have nice homemade tortilla, a little guacamole, like putting it in the bottom. So there's a little guac with every bite. A couple pieces of meat, some peppers, an onion, a little bit of lime, and a little bit of crema. Oh, yes. This is the ultimate fajita. I mean, the tortilla itself is handmade, and it's a little more toothsome than the ones you get at the supermarket. Then you have that layer of fresh guacamole with this steak that's so tender with a little hint of pineapple juice, perfectly cooked vegetables, a little lime, and the crema on top. And the best thing about working off this cart is you can roll the whole thing right into the party. Good boy, yeah. All right, let's get ready for our friends to come over, huh, Ziggs?
Hi. Is it good? Cheers! Oh.
If you're ready to take your cooking to the next level, head over to americastestkitchen.com and get a free trial of our ATK Essential membership. While you're there, you can sign up for our free email newsletters and download our app. So, what are you waiting for?